Well, good evening, and today our lesson is on adding integers. And we're going to start, and we know that integers are positive or negative whole numbers. And want to start where we look at where do we deal with negative and positive numbers in the real world. One place you might recognize is a football field. If we're headed down this goal line, when we gain yards, we move to the right. When we lose yards, we move to the left, just like you would on a number line. And then here's a vertical number line. This is a thermometer that you've seen, I'm sure. And below 0, we've got our negatives. Above 0 are our positives. So when we move in a positive direction, we go up. Negative direction, we go down, of course. Okay, now we're going to, if you recall, the number line dance. And we said, remember, do the number line dance. If you want to do it with me right now, you can. Do the number line dance. Negatives to the left, positives to the right. It's the number line dance. We're going to dance all night. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to add another verse. And we're going to say, when adding integers, because that's what we're getting ready to do, when adding integers, you start at 0, then you will be the neighborhood hero. Do the number line dance. So here we go. So we're going to do the number line dance with -4 plus -5. So to be the neighborhood hero, we got to start at 0. Okay, so we're going to do the number line dance, and we're going to go 4 to the negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to add on another -5. So we have to keep going in the negative direction. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So of course we're at -9. Okay, now do the number line dance one more time. We're going to start at 0. We're going to go -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get in front of your computer and do this if you want. Now we got to add 10. So we're going in a positive direction because it's a positive 10. So now we're going to head back to the right on the number line. So we're going to, at -6, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and we end up at +4. So there's how you do the number line dance on a number line. And if you want to solve addition of integer problems that way, you go right ahead. Another way that you learn is with wholes and piles, and we'll look at that in a second. Right now, you can use the number line, you can dance on it, or you can just draw on it. And we're going to do -7 plus -4. So you're going to start at 0 and be the neighborhood hero. And you're going to draw a line to the left because it's -7. And then you're going to go left again because we have another -4. So you're going to draw another number line down 4 more, and you end up at -11. So if you want to pause the video and draw that if you haven't done it yet, go right ahead. And then we're going to go on to the next one. And the next one, this is going to be a checking for understanding. So you're going to try this one on your own. So we're going to do -2 plus +9. And you're going to stop the video now and do it, and then come back, and I'll show you how. You can check it. All right, so let's check this baby. So we're going to start at 0 and move over -2. And then from there, we're going to go +9. So we're going to go back in a positive direction, 9 more spaces. So we end up at 7, of course. All right, so there's that one. Now, looking at adding integers, we've got some rules. And the other day, we talked about wholes and piles. And when we look at the wholes and the piles, remember that wholes are going to be the dark chips when we're talking about using our little chips the other day, or holes in the sand. Then there's also piles of sand, or we're using our yellow chips. So we fill those holes. When we take one yellow chip and one purple chip and we put them together, we've got 0. Okay, so we did it that way too. But you can do it that way, you can do it on the number line, or you can use these rules, which we came up with, because we know now how to add on a number line. So we can see, first of all, our first rule, and this is on your example paper, the next slide, where it talks about adding integers. So this is the first rule. To add 2 integers with the same sign, all you have to do is add them, so fill in that blank. And so you add the numbers and keep the sign. So if you're moving in a negative direction and you're still moving in a negative direction, your answer's got to be negative. So keep the sign. If you're moving in a positive direction, you move positive more. Of course, you're going to have a positive sign. Okay, then to subtract, it's a little more complicated. Okay, so when we, not subtract, I'm sorry, when we add 2 integers with different signs, we'll talk about how to subtract tomorrow, which will throw a little curve in it, but right now don't worry about that. Okay, so when we have different signs, disregard the signs. Just look at the two numbers and subtract them. So fill that blank in with subtract. So you subtract the smaller from the larger. And we'll do an example here in a minute. Then you're going to keep, so fill in that blank with keep, the sign of the number farthest from 0 or furthest from 0 on the number line. So you're going to keep sign of, that goes in the next blank, and the last blank, the number furthest from 0 on the number line. So let's look at an example of that. So we're going to find each sum, and we're going to use the rules. Okay, so here we have different signs. So we're adding with different signs, and so we got to subtract these two numbers without regard to the sign. So we're actually going to take 5 minus 3, and we get 2. Then, which number is furthest from 0 on the number line? Well, -5, of course, is. So we're going to keep that sign on the 2, so my answer is going to be -2. Now, you can also think of wholes and piles. And when you think of wholes and piles, like we did the other day in class, we had purple. These are blue. They kind of look purple. And we had squares, not circles. And then here's my piles of sand. So I have 5 holes. That's my negative. I have 3 piles, my positive. If I fill up each of those holes, I'm not left with any sand. I have 0 sand. So that's like taking those away. And what I have left are 2 holes or 2 negatives. So my answer is -2. You can pause the video if you didn't follow that and you want to go back in and take those notes. Go right ahead. The next one's going to be checking for understanding. Okay, we're going to check out for understanding. We're going to do -13 plus -24. So here we use the rule that the signs are the same. So we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. So do that and pause the video and tell me, come back and you can check, and you can't tell me, but you can check and see if you got the right answer. Okay, so we're going to do -13 and -24. They're the same side, so we add them. Signs, so we add them. So that's going to be 13 and 24 is 27. And we're going to keep that sign. So that's -13 and 24. So when we add those together, we get 37. And so since they're alike, they're both negative, your answer is going to be negative. Now you could also think of holes on the beach. There's 13 holes. And we're going to have 24 more holes. So altogether we have this total number of holes, which is 37 on the beach. That wouldn't be a very nice beach to walk on. All right, so now we're going to look at some algebra. And this is really very simple. Okay, in algebra we have variables. So we have an x and a y, and we're going to add those together. Well, I have to tell you what x and y is if I want you to evaluate. Remember we had evaluate on a lesson on the last quiz. And some of your examples. So we have to find the value of that if we know that x is -24 and y is 17. So what I want you to do right now is plug in -24 for x and 17 for y. And when you do that, you get -24 plus +17. Okay? Now, -24, that's like the holes, and I have 17 piles of sand. So I have to fill up 17 of these holes, and then how many do I have left? Well, if I subtract 27 minus 17, I get 7. And then I had, this is furthest from 0, or you can look at it on the number line that way, or you can say, well, I've got 7 holes left, so that's going to be -7. All right, our last example, this is a word problem, and this is your last slide on the back of your paper. And this one says the jazz band's income for a bake sale was $286. Expenses were $21. Use the integer addition to find the band's total profit or loss. Well, here's how much they made, but they have to take off their expenses. That's like the negative. Once they take that off, what's left will be their profit. Okay, so we're going to use negative for expenses. So we're going to write 286, which is their profit, or how much they earned. And then we're going to add -21, which is how much they spent. And that is their expenses, so it's negative. Okay, now we can look at this two ways. If you look at it on a number line, you're going to have to go from 0 to 286, which is going to take you a long time. My suggestion is to use holes and piles. So 286 would be like our piles of sand, because that's our positive. And then -21, that would be our holes. That would be our negative. Now I'm going to take 21 of these piles, and I'm going to put them in there, and that'll become 0. So when I take 21 out of there, what I'm really doing is saying, okay, here's the 21 that I got to fill up there, and then I have 265 left. So I took 286 minus 21, and that's how I came up with 265 plus 21. And I'm going to add that to my negative 21, because I know positive 21 and negative 21 fill the holes, that's 0. So here's the piles that I have left over. So when I do that, I get 265 plus 0, because that adds up to 0, or I'm filling the holes, and that would mean you have a profit of positive $265. All right, we're done with the lesson. If you need to go back and view something else, go right ahead. You can do the rewind using the bottom of your screen. If you want to, go back and just pause some things so you can get it down better, that's fine too. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know I've enjoyed making it. You have a great evening, and bring the paper in tomorrow with all your examples filled in, and with all your blanks filled in, and all your notes filled in, and you will get credit for that, and then we'll do some problems in class together. Have a great evening.